Hey, welcome to the Razzle Dazzle Show, a podcast where we talk about our favorite video games and all things pop culture with an emphasis on our favorites. We're your hosts Jared, Mauro, and Chaz.
Hey, my name is Mauro. This is my voice. This is Mauro's voice that is attached to Mauro.
Hello, welcome. I am one of the great members of the Weeb Nation, and I hope you guys enjoy your time here.
Today's episode is on Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Created by writer-editor Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko, he first appeared in the anthology comic book Amazing Fantasy number 15 in August 1962 in the Silver Age of comic books. Please let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at Raz-Show Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. And with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time!
I was gonna tell you, the way I started liking Spider-Man growing up is on tapes. I'm old. My nana used to go buy me tapes, and then I would just binge them. So, I grew up off of the old Spider-Man, where every line was a corny joke that was absolutely terrible, and his suit was the only thing that had lines on it was his gloves and boots, and everything else was just red and blue.
Oh, that show!
The 80s? The 80s version?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Where the artwork was just barely there.
Yo. Yeah, it had a lot of stills, and then the hand would move, and that's it.
Yep, pretty much. It would be stick movement.
Everything is still, but then his jaw would move a little bit to indicate that he was talking.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That show I have never seen it, but I've seen a lot of clips out of context, and it's fun.
That's kind of who I based my Spider-Man off of. I didn't like the, let's go through live actors real quick. Tobey Maguire, he didn't pop off nowhere near as many jokes as Spider-Man, so I didn't like that. Now, don't get me wrong, Tobey Maguire will still be my favorite Spider-Man because that's the one I grew up off of. That's the only way he's winning that fight. If I didn't grow up off of him, he would not be he would not be competing at all. But since he was my go-to, my first live action Spider-Man, I think it was. Was he the first live action? No, there was a live action before him, right?
There was
there was one, but what is that suit? Let's just say that Tobey Maguire was the first live action Spider-Man.
Yeah,
so it was my first live action Spider-Man.
There we go.
He always hold that nostalgia part in my heart. But other than that, he wasn't as funny as I wanted him to be.
No, I agree. The thing about Spider-Man is that he's quippy, he's jokey, he's sarcastic.
We're
Toby
2 minutes in, and we're already going to talk about the 3 Spider-Man. Oh my god!
Hold on. Listen. We can go one at a time. Right now, we're talking about Chaz's first introduction to Spider-Man, and I think that's a good way to start. Each of us goes our first little tidbit into Spider-Man, right?
All right, let's do that.
Well, I agree. Look, to finish my thought, I agree, Chaz. I feel like he wasn't as quippy as Spider-Man should have been, but I felt like he was a great Peter Parker. He was nerdy and unsure of himself for a long time, and that really contrasted his transformation into Spider-Man. He's this nerd that could barely talk to the girl is out here saving lives, heart of gold, which is what Spider-Man really does have.
All right, Jared, go ahead. You seem like you got a little bit of pimp up in it.
No, I can go last. I can wait.
Okay.
I can wait.
my first foyer into Spider-Man actually wasn't the Tobey Maguire movies, although they were there. My first one was a video game that I got for the PSP when I was 8 or 9, or maybe younger, probably around there. It was Spider-Man Friend or Foe, and it's a beat 'em up. It's about Spider-Man going for place to place, trying to save people from his rogues gallery from being mind controlled. So essentially, you have Mysterio, which is the big bad guy. And he has a bunch of symbiotes working for him for some reason that are mind controlling a lot of Spider-Man's villains. And Spider-Man shows up, beats them up, takes the mind control thing off of them, and then they're just kind of I don't like that I was mind controlled. I'll work with you for now. And it's great. It's got his whole, maybe not his entire rogues gallery, but he's got a lot of characters. And that's how I was introduced to characters like Black Cat, Iron Fist, the Rhino, pretty much everybody from Spider-Man. I didn't know anything about Spider-Man except like I had seen him on TV sometimes. But it's a fun game. And I played a lot of that. And it also introduced me to like Shield and Nick Fury, because that's like he meets Nick Fury in that game and stuff. That was my first like actual like jump into Spider-Man, on any like significant level.
One of my first exposures was of the Ultimate Spider-Man TV series on Disney XD. And I actually rewatched it or finished the entirety of that show for this episode within the past couple of weeks. And, it introduced me to Iron Fist, Luke Cage, saw that Netflix was doing shows on them. So I started Daredevil. That's blah blah blah. Of course, like when growing up, like I remember tidbits of seeing the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans on VHS at somebody's house. I know I went to see the Amazing Spider-Man movies and I thought they were great. Andrew Garfield is a great Spider-Man. He's too cool to be a good Peter Parker. But where I really started caring about Spider-Man in any capacity, I think probably would have been the Tom Holland ones, the Holmes trilogy. I think, he's the perfect iteration of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He's like, in terms of live action, he is Spider-Man.
I like how you were complaining that we were already talking about three Spider-Man, and then there you go. That's your intro.
Like we are getting there because we
have to. It's
it's an unavoidable topic. We're going.
It took us a while. It only took us about 6 minutes to truly just start talking about that. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm so
which
proud.
One's our favorite one and start dissing each other, or which one we like more.
Well, I'm gonna attack you first, Chaz. I really don't like the Sam Raimi movies. I'm just saying the movies in general. Spider-Man 2, I know is regarded as one of the best out of the trilogy. Mm-hmm. But there's
Spider-Man 2 is one of the best movies ever, yes.
Okay. Other than the terrible acting, there's one particular thing that I really don't like in that movie.
That he's old?
No. So one of the core aspects of that, or one of the core story things, is that Peter loses his powers. Why? Because he's depressed. Okay, great. Everything else about the movie is good. The story is good. Like Doc Ock being there, his motivation's great. I love everything else about it. The only problem I have is the reason why he loses his powers. Now, this exact storyline is, of course, straight from the comics, where Spider-Man willingly gives up being Spider-Man, and we know that legendary cover of the spider suit in the trash, him walking down the alley in the rain, away from it, right? We all know that that's where the story from the second movie comes from. And it works great in the comics because for every and all reason for why Peter Parker decides to give up being Spider-Man, because it's ruining his life, ruining Peter Parker's life.
Yes.
But in the movie, that decision gets taken away from him. Everything else still applies. Everything else still happens. Spider-Man was ruining Peter's life. All that stuff happens. But he doesn't decide to stop being Spider-Man. His powers goes away automatically because he's depressed or whatever. His life is ruined, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean anything to me as a viewer. That doesn't make me care that now he's happy about not being Spider-Man anymore because the decision is taken away from him. That's my biggest problem.
Well, I agree. Like, okay, you make a lot of good points because you're comparing it to the comic book where this storyline was adapted from, which is in and of itself a really good storyline. However, they had a movie, right, that had to be sort of self-contained, but also at the same time play into the previous movie. Right? And then I don't know if they knew it at the time, but there was going to be a third one. There was going to be a trilogy. Maybe let's not talk about the third movie, but the second movie, I think within the confines of everything that makes this a film that is not only a sequel, but also a film that works, in and of itself. The reasons for Spider-Man not being able to access his powers, it's not just because he's depressed. However, it's a plethora of things. Otto literally says, if you keep something as important or as complicated as love bottled up, it's going to make you sick. And that's essentially what happens. He keeps all of his feelings for MJ bottled up. And then, he sees her with this other guy. She gets proposed to. J. Jonah Jameson is like, take the picture. And he's like, And on top of all that, just a lack of self-confidence, belief in himself, and just overall, it's a mental thing. The same way that if you have a lot of stress, it can lead to like high blood pressure. If you have like severe lack of self-confidence and self-worth and self-belief, you just get disheartened. And that's what happened with him. He lost his sense of self, and therefore he just didn't have an ability. Like, I will say that because of the time frame that this movie came out, it was very popular for the main characters of movies around this time to be simps. By today's standards, we look at that and you're like, oh, you're a simp. But back when this movie came out, this was like the noble archetype. It's like the guy who wants the girl, but he can't get her, and he can't talk about how he feels, and he wants her so bad, and oh my gosh, it hurts his heart. It's overplayed today to the point where it's just kind of funny. But back then, that was like he's like, oh my god, she broke his heart. Well, she didn't even know. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, all he had to do was go pick up a truck and be like, hey, MJ, come this way. I think it would have worked.
MJ's a bitch, by the way. Throughout the entire trilogy, she's a terrible person.
I hated the entire series. I would agree with you on that one.
But Mauro, I understand what the movie is doing. I understand the writing in this, and it makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It does. But I think it's more impactful that he decides to give up being Spider-Man. It's the decision of stopping this part of yourself for the opportunity to have a better life. It's taken away negates any importance of being that other person, being Spider-Man. We've seen in other iterations of the character, not just the comics, even Spider-Man the animated series in the 90s, where he willfully gives up being Spider-Man all the time, 5 times throughout the entire show. But regardless, besides the point, it means a little bit more. Could
there have been another way of having him give up the mantle of Spider-Man? Sure. In the comics, it's a, like you said, it's a choice that he willfully makes because his life is in danger or he can't live his life the way he wants to. In the movie, it's an involuntary choice due to stress because of the imbalance of his life. And the movie was trying to make it a lot more tragic than it really was in the comics. And in a way it works, for me at least, which is why, the Sam Raimi movies are divisive. I understand that. I get it. This is a Spider-Man that can shoot webs from inside of him. Organically. He didn't need to super tech a little device. This is a Spider-Man that doesn't really crack a whole lot of jokes. This is a sadder Spider-Man, a less confident Spider-Man.
The titular character Spider-Man is...
we have a more depressed Spider-Man than that one.
You're right. I think it means tonally the movies are.
Yeah, tonally. Yeah, it's when Spider-Man puts on the mask, it's supposed to be, hey, I have confidence now. Yes. But then Tobey Maguire puts on the mask. It's just Tobey Maguire in a mask.
Yeah. I also think that the entire trilogy, the titular character Spider-Man, within the 3 movies, he's only Spider-Man for Spider-Man's only on screen for 15, 20 minutes. Throughout the entirety of the trilogy. And I get it. It's a more Peter-based storyline throughout the 3 movies. I get that. But also, even when he's Spider-Man, the thing we want to hear is quips. He tells 1 or 2 jokes a movie.
Yeah, they're very sparse.
I would say it stops after Green Goblin. It just kind of stopped. You hear jokes with him and Green Goblin, and then my bad. We did get 1 or 2 jokes, or I wouldn't call it jokes. I call it sarcasm. And the third movie against Harry.
Yeah. So
I protect you in high school, and I'm gonna kick your little ass. Ooh, that was the last joke I remember.
I have to keep. Okay, I'm gonna have maybe Spider-Man 2 would have maybe if they had a few more villains, they could have definitely had that. But I feel like the decision to make him less quippy during the fights with Doc Ock was on purpose, so as to like not take away from like the tonal seriousness of that scene. But you're right. Like in all three movies, there is very little Spider-Man, and there are very few quips.
And I also get it in terms of like, this is the 90s. Superheroes aren't taken seriously. This is one of the pioneers for superhero films to be popular, period, right? All we had before this was what, Batman 89? I mean, yeah, the Adam West stuff too, but like, didn't that, like, studios, Hollywood didn't really take superheroes seriously until like Batman 89, I'm pretty sure, and then the Sam Raimi's, and then X-Men, and now we have the MCU and the DCU or whatever. But like, I get it. Like, they want to lean more towards the realism than the fantasy stuff. With the whole superhero stuff.
It's like I keep saying, it's a product of its time. This movie came out before The Dark Knight.
You're right.
Like, remember how The Dark Knight was the movie that really said, okay, superheroes are gritty. Superheroes don't have to be fantastic. Like you know, they have to be like super. Well, they have to be super, but they don't necessarily have to be heroes. Yeah. That's what you're saying. So this movie was kind of a move in that direction.
Yes.
And it did it in a way that it sacrificed Spider-Man's, like, maybe Spider-Man wasn't the best hero to do this type of shift with. How about that?
But he's one of the most popular superheroes of all time, next to Batman.
No, he is. But like, for the shift of like, okay, so audiences are used to like very sunshiny fantasy superheroes. Let's make something a little more grounded. Let's make something that like resonates with the audience, because regardless of the reasoning, or if you compare it to the reasons why he lost his superpowers or gave up the suits in the comics, self-doubt, that's something that people could relate to. His like inability to manage his own relationships and life and all that stuff, like, that's something real. And to see a superhero dealing with that type of thing, especially for the time. So what I'm saying is, maybe maybe Spider-Man wasn't the best hero to use for this shift, for this tonal shift. But still, I believe that the movie itself, it works. It is definitely because of nostalgia that I hold this movie in such a high regard, but I still think that it is a solid movie nonetheless. And it is better, in my opinion, than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That kind of has like a very similar beats with like Peter and Spider-Man, and like balancing the two. And I'm not just shitting on The Amazing Spider-Man. Like, I think the movies themselves are not as bad as a lot of people like to pretend they are. They just have flaws, because every movie has flaws.
So when it comes to us, everything has a flaw. Everything. Everything has a flaw. We will point it out.
Listen, when you have a couple of geeks talking about things that they like unfiltered, you're gonna hear some nasty truths. I forget that we're recording a lot of the times, and this is just me talking about what works and what doesn't work for me. Whenever you hear me say, "This is just my opinion," it's because I'm like, okay, hold on, we are recording, so I have to not come off as a complete asshole. I am aware that this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, this movie did a lot better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2, because it was able to juggle these themes in a more realistic way. I felt more for this Peter.
I liked Amazing just because the Spider-Man stuff was awesome.
Yeah. I like a tiny knife, my biggest weakness.
He's hilarious, and the suit looks good. Like, Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, great. Man. Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, great. Tom Holland does a great mix of the both.
Yeah.
Wow, we're really doing this already. We're doing this already.
We can't even. Let's not jump into Tom Holland just yet. We haven't even discussed Andrew Garfield.
Andrew.
Let's talk about Andrew.
I really got no beef with Andrew and his films.
Not at all.
To me, no. I'm not gonna say that was A1. I'm not doing that.
No, fair. But like,
I got no problems with them, because when I was watching them, it was just like, oh no, Toby's gone. Guess I'll watch it. And I gave it I gave it no expectations. Then like, it did better than my expectations. You get how like it accidentally made its way somewhere by accident for me. And the way I saw the Andrew Garfield films is like, you see a lot of the pain that he goes through. Like it describes the pain a lot more. like, yeah, you see it in like the Tobey Maguire films, but like it was really emphasized in the Andrew Garfield film, especially losing Gwen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which traumatized everybody. And oh wait, let me get out my notes. Let me get out my notes because I want to talk about Gwen later. Here we go. Let me type this up. But you can go ahead now, Mauro or Jared.
I mean, for the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I agree with Jared that the general consensus is that Andrew Garfield is a really good Spider-Man and not a super great Peter Parker, which makes sense. Cool. He's too cool. Why is he skateboarding?
Yeah.
You didn't. That felt unnecessary. It just, he's. They could have made him like it's. I guess it's cool to be late for class, but like if you could also make that not cool, right? You missed the bus. Like in the original Spider-Man movies, dude, the Raimi films, he missed the bus and the bus wouldn't open for him, and he's just like, come on, please, like banging on the thing. That's not cool. Missing class because you were doing your own thing and then you show up on campus with a skateboard, like that's too cool, dude. Like you're expecting me to believe that you don't exude self-confidence? Get out of here. Why are you not getting the girl? Why don't you already have the girlfriend? Like it's, I don't know.
You're getting bullied and stuffed in lockers?
Come on, no way, dude. He even has the Peter Parker glasses on, but they don't even look like it came out in that time where like it was like the hipsters were wearing the glasses with no prescription. So it was just, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just another hipster on a skateboard.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, okay, I guess he's like smart though because he knows how to like do science, whatever. I don't know. It wasn't. Peter's supposed to be a nerd. He was not a nerd.
The amazing movies aren't
the duology.
The duology, yeah, whatever.
We almost called it a trilogy, and I was like, "When did the third one come out? Catch me up right now, bro!"
No Way Home is the third one. He finally got his third movie.
Right?
Oh, that's what it is.
I don't know.
They're not amazing, but they're also not trash. I don't think. Just.
I feel like they're enjoyable. Look, not everything has to be. Even though, like, I would have preferred a more like true to the comics or true to his nature Peter Parker, not everything has to be like an exact duplicate. Like, this is just a different take on Peter Parker and Spider-Man as a whole, and I can respect that. I feel like it is a weird choice. However, it is the director's choice. We're watching the product of a couple of story writers who decided to take Peter in a different direction, and you can either like it or you can hate it, but the movies themselves, they work. And I like the choreography, I like the fight scenes, I like Spider-Man the way he is. So they're not the best movies out there, but they're definitely not as trash as everybody pretended that they were back then, because that was just people being angry that Tobey Maguire wasn't Spider-man anymore.
Maybe the design of Electro was weird, but like they fixed it in at home. So
yeah, that was okay. Yeah, Electro was. Was that? They could have made Andrew Garfield not cool, because people are like, oh, like Andrew Garfield just radiates coolness. Well, yeah, but so does Jamie Foxx, and they made him a complete nerd. Like,
yeah.
Electro was just like some loser glasses wearing. Like, I wear glasses, right? But like he wore glasses, and I'm like, ill. And Jamie Foxx is cool as hell. Like, Jamie Foxx is one of the coolest people I've ever seen. He just exudes coolness way more than Andrew Garfield, and yet he was like some loser lab guy until he became Electro. Like, they could have done it. They just didn't want to.
Oh, you know what I also just realized about Andrew? Correct me if I'm wrong. Andrew is also the only Peter that seeked out his parents.
Oh.
Huh? Oh yeah. I forget Spider-Man has parents. What the hell? Uncle Ben and Aunt May, like, it's, what do you need parents, bro? You're good.
But he's the only one who's like, what happened to my parents? Why? Yeah. Well, and then like, I think at the end of the second movie, they started like getting more into like what happened to his dad, and like, because I think he had found like a tape.
Yeah, they're SHIELD agents.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, I was excited because I was like, I've never, like, not in the animated, not in the Tobey Maguire, so I was like, oh, I forgot this man has parents. What happened to them? It's like, and then they started like to give us a little bit of information. To me, that wasn't enough information. I was like, I want more. You gotta explain why this man has no parents.
Hearing you say that has unlocked something inside of me, because the phrase Spider-Man's parents is a phrase that I don't think I have heard in my life.
It's the fact nobody questions it either. It's like, because we're so used to, Peter Parker, Aunt May. We don't like process that Aunt May is not mom. We just like Aunt May.
Why does he live with his aunt and uncle? What's going on there?
And like and they used to do They did flashbacks of Uncle Ben, and like the not flashbacks. They did not do a flashback. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the second and third movie. But the Tobey Maguire, they did like the whole intro, how he got his abilities and everything with Uncle, like, losing Uncle Ben and everything. I was like, maybe
it was an origin movie. They needed to.
I'm just saying, there's one actor without an origin movie.
Well, I think it's cool. Like, okay, by the time Tom Holland came along, it's that Batman effect, right? How many times do you need to see them die in Crime Alley, right? We saw
Every time.
We know Uncle Ben dies. We've already seen it happen.
But what happened to Tom Holland's Uncle Ben?
He got shot and he died.
We know the story. I'm glad with Tom Holland's we didn't have to rehash the whole thing and
that did make it go a lot smoother. But it was, I don't know, for me it still sucked. Just starting the movie and he just already got his abilities, and I was like, oh yay! I wanted to at least see the lab where he got bit by the spider. I wanted at least that,
Maybe the first movie should have started off with here's the thing.
I said they didn't have to start it off. They could have just randomly threw a cutscene in there and just bit by spider. Back to
get introduced until Civil War. Before
so because of that, in the first movie, the beginning is actually just him filming himself. He's like, I just got Happy Hogan just picked me up. We're about to go fight Captain America. Oh guys, so Captain America and we're fighting in the airport. Oh, I gotta go. And then it's okay, so I just got dropped back off by Tony Stark, and now I gotta go back to high school or something. I thought that was fun and all. So maybe that instead of having an intro where you see him in the lab, they had that. Maybe they could have done a flashback somewhere in the movie, but I don't know. I felt like it would have felt out of place.
Yeah. And then,
Peter told Ned how he got his powers.
It was explained so quickly, though.
Yeah,
it was just him coming off his room. He's like, "Oh, you're Spider-Man? How's that? I was bit by a radioactive spider." Boom, backstory told. I was like, "That was A1, Peter.
What more do you need?"
Okay, I'm just saying, right? Imagine it
he just wants to see Ben get shot. That's it.
No, I'm not saying. I literally said all I want.
May got shot.
Oh my god!
Right? Spoilers. I'm sorry if you haven't seen No
If you haven't
Way Home.
seen it by now, that's a problem.
Right?
That's honestly a you problem. Yeah, go fix that. Go watch it. It's a good movie, guys.
No, all I'm saying is I want to at least. I don't know why, but I'm so intrigued on what the spider that bit him looks like. Because we got to see what the spider look like the Andrew got bit by, and we also got to see the spider. We got a good look at the spider in the Tobey Maguire one. We got to see that spider for 15 minutes running around.
Yeah, honestly, he's just.
we got to see the spider be born, grow up, fight Peter, and die. No, why? We've looking at that spider for so long.
Oh man!
But it's just a curiosity thing. They're not wrong for what they did. I definitely agree with you guys. There's no need for the Batman effect.
He's the only one that doesn't have a spider on screen. Tobey Maguire has one. Andrew Garfield has one, and even Miles Morales has one. You see that spider too.
That's true.
You're right. Tom Holland doesn't have his little.
I'm just curious. I just want to know what it looked like. At least, come on, Marvel, post a picture on Instagram and be like, "This is the spider that it's Tom Holland."
I just want to see the spider. I just want the spider. I don't even need the whole backstory, Uncle Ben. I just want the spider. I want it to be canon. I want him a character. I want him to have a wiki page on the MCU fandom.
Oh my god. And then this whole the Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Okay, so
I just reminded myself of a meme that was terrible. Of the
I want to talk about that actually.
Yeah?
Chaz, what meme are you
I know
talking
what
about?
you're talking about, Chaz. This newscaster, live TV. She was like, "It's superhero day or what? It's comic book day or whatever." My favorite superhero is Superman. Do you remember the motto? With great power comes great responsibility.
She said it was a Marvel superhero. Oh my! See, now I gotta find this video. It's just, I'm sitting in.
Well, look, here's.
Who's your favorite Marvel Comics hero? Mine is Superman. Remember the motto? With great power comes great responsibility. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you again at 6.
My big gripe with that, I love the phrase is great. The motto is fantastic. With great power comes great responsibility. Literally telling Peter, hey, you can do this. Other people can't. You should be that superhero that they need. That's amazing. That's great words to live by. And the fact that he said it while he was dying, it was cut clear. In Spider-Man Homecoming, no, in Civil War, when Tony meets Peter in his room and they're talking about it and all that stuff, he says what he should have said was, well, with great power comes great responsibility. Instead, he says, when you can do the things that I can and you don't, and people get hurt, that's on you. What the f***?
Hey, that's a lot better than what was said in Madam Web.
What was said in Madam Web?
I didn't see that one yet.
Let me find it. When you take responsibility, you will gain powerful abilities.
Lies. No, much responsibility is got. Where's my powers? Where's my powers?
I've taken responsibility before. Sometimes.
Guys, give me a second. I know you can't see this, but I'm gonna go try to climb the wall behind me. I'll let you know how well that goes. In 2 seconds.
Please do.
It's so bad, man.
You just hear a giant thud. Who are y'all favorite villains from all 8 Spider-Man films?
Oh, from the films. Okay, all right. I'll let everybody else
just gonna do films
first.
first, and then since most of the audience is probably only going to be able to relate to the films, we can start there, and then
That's
we
fair.
can go overall.
What audience? Are we doing this for them?
Oh,
I don't know any of them.
My bad.
Any of these guys.
We appreciate the listen.
I do appreciate the listen. Thank you for listening to me ramble with these guys.
It's too late. Half of them already logged off.
Damn.
See, I think that's a tough question because the reason why I love Batman the Animated Series, is because the majority of every episode, I guess, is dedicated to a villain, and then we see how Batman deals with that. And most of Batman's rogues gallery, they're tragedies. They're not bad people, just in bad situations or given bad circumstances. So you care for them to an extent, right? With Spider-Man, and of course, depending on the iteration of the universe of the Spider-Man, of the villains, it depends, right? So I love Michael Keaton's job, another Batman, as the Vulture in Homecoming. He does
That was weird
job.
for me to see, believe it or not.
There's a lot of heart there. I care about that villain. But the Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man 1, is just a great maniacal, evil Joker equivalent, right?
It's the insanity, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also an added element that that's his best friend's dad and stuff like that. There's also a personal element which is great. But Venom doesn't necessarily count. I mean, yeah, he counts as a villain at first, but he's an anti-hero. Just that entire storyline is great too. I don't know. That's a hard question. I think the majority of the rogues gallery for Spider-Man is not as tragic for me to care about, at least for the medias I've seen. Like Dr. Octopus, Hydro Man, I don't care about. Mysterio, maybe.
That's a tough question. Mysterio right now.
Doc Ock was definitely one, film wise, it's between Doc Ock and Sandman, I guess. Who's the most tragic.
Sandman. Oh my god. No, you got it. Sandman is my favorite Spider-Man villain. It's the same thing again. He is tragic. What happened to him wasn't his fault.
No.
So maybe it was a criminal, but like he didn't deserve what.
No, yeah, definitely not.
And
Like if this was in a superhero film, that would have been him dying. That would have been his death, essentially. Which is
and like that side mission in Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 is incredible. Like that story, like that's a side quest that I cared to finish about, and I wanted to know more and the results of it, and it's sad, and thank you.
I would have to say probably it'll be between Doc Ock and the Goblin, just by the simple fact that those are his two villains that know him on a personal level.
Yeah,
like you get like most villains like don't even know who their hero, that like their like enemy really is. Doc Ock knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So like,
that's true.
So when they fight, he can easily just rat out every villain that comes to New York and be like, "Hey, it's Peter Parker." But he doesn't do that. And it's just I really like that. But then he's still a problem.
Yeah.
I think that's also what makes the fights harder for Peter and like the animated series that I've seen, and obviously the live action with Tobey Maguire, is that it's harder to fight a friend.
That's true. For a lot of Peter's villains or Spider-Man's rogue galleries, they're people that he, as Peter, has a personal connection with or a relationship with to some extent. Sometimes they know who he is, sometimes they don't. But yeah, that does make it a lot more personal for him. With Batman, he has a lot of relationships with these people, but it's not like Batman has a relationship with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Wayne is Batman's alter ego, like type. So it wouldn't really make sense for Bruce Wayne to know these people and so on and so forth. Yeah. But you're definitely right that it's with Spider-Man, the villains aren't as tragic. The Rogues Gallery isn't as expansive. My favorite character from the films, it's a toss-up between... Oh, I'm sorry. My favorite villain from the films, it is a toss-up between Sandman, for the same reasons that Jared stated, and Venom, not Venom from Spider-Man 3. That goes without saying, but I had to say it just because, it's Venom from the Venom movies. He's not really a villain, but Venom is a villain, so. Yeah.
I mean, the Lizard is a good contender as well.
I like the Lizard. I like Electro in both of his iterations are pretty cool. I like them both there, but I also Harry. What was even his
Green Goblin? He becomes the Green Goblin too.
Yep. He does become the Green Goblin, but like while he's Harry, like before he's like when he's like in his thing, what's he called? Does he even have a name?
No.
Goblin Jr.
Goblin Jr.
I think
I think it looks cool. I think it looks very cool.
Somebody does out for Spider-Man.
But yeah, the Green Goblin itself is still like a great maniacal character. It's not like for its counterpart, the Hobgoblin. The Hobgoblin is more just chaos for the sake of chaos. But yeah, you're right. The Green Goblin has a lot of personal stake with Spider-Man.
Do we want to talk about favorite Spider-Man villain, period? Just of his whole Rogues Gallery? Because I got a thing or two to say about... Well, actually, you know what? He does. I just realized this one does show up in the movies. Carnage with Cassidy. I think Woody Harrelson did a great job playing him, and in both films. But Carnage himself, just not in film specifically, but just in general, has such a cool design. It's I have a friend who is obsessed with Carnage just because of the fact that he's so just evil. Like evil in like by our standards, by Carnage standards, he just craves chaos. That's just his nature, and he works so well with Cletus Cassidy because Cletus Cassidy is an actual villain. He's just like an unhinged individual who thrives off of murder and chaos, and like they work really well together. Like this is true symbiosis. And I think that's a very interesting dynamic, especially when you pair him against Venom, because Venom is just both the Venom symbiote and I really hoped that the name would come to me before I finish the sentence.
Eddie Brock?
Eddie Brock, yes. Both him and Eddie Brock, they're just people that... Eddie Brock specifically was just a dude who was down on his luck. Venom came up and it just kind of meshed. But he's not an evil human being. In the comics, he's vindictive against Spider-Man, but that's about it. In the movies, there's no Spider-Man for him to be vindictive against. He just lost his job because he did things. You know, he fought the Man, and the Man kicked his ass. But I like Carnage. I like that Carnage just has no scruples. He's just evil for the sake of being evil. That's just his nature.
He really pushes Spider-Man to his limits in terms of like how far is Spider-Man willing to go to like fully end a threat. Like, you know, there, of course, there's no killing rule, and a lot of other villains like push him to his limit when it comes to that. But Carnage, you know, it's an alien. Does it count? He's like maniacal and like homicidal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a giant threat. And, you know, one of the best representations of not just Carnage, I don't think he's in this, but like symbiotes and how deadly they are is in Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. I think that iteration of Spider-Man might be one of my favorites, because when I first started playing that, and this was before I started playing the Arkham games, I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop playing Spider-Man 2 because, one, how fun it is, and like the story was actually very compelling. And then later when I was playing the Arkham games, I'm like, oh my god! Like I knew like the Arkham's heavily inspired the Spider-Man stuff. I knew about that, but I didn't think the I don't want to say addictedness. I wanted to play and play and play and not put down the controller when I was playing both Spider-Man 2 and all of the Arkham games. Like I didn't want to stop because of that addiction. That flow. Yeah, right. I could stop whenever I want to, but I didn't.
Just one more level.
And I'm very much looking forward to. And also that game, those games, Spider-Man games, does a lot to not just bring out a lot in Peter Parker, but with the success of the Spider-Verse movies with Miles Morales, he gets his own spin-off, and we get to play as him even more in Spider-Man 2. And I'm super, super excited for the third game, because at the end, spoilers, I guess, at the end of Spider-Man 2, they teased Cindy Moon, Silk, and that is my favorite spider person.
That's my favorite spider.
It's my favorite spider.
Okay.
Yeah, Cindy Moon Silk. In the comic, she's like one of the key members when it comes to like the whole Spider-Verse storyline too.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see her and hopefully play as her in the third game, and maybe we even get Green Goblin in the third game too.
I hope so.
We can get the multiplayer we've been waiting for, but you know, that fat teaser they made the game seem like and just didn't clarify it until like the pre-order. It was like, oh yeah, it's single player. Sorry, we never told you.
You thought. I like
potential.
I like that Spider-Man game. It's an older Peter Parker, because again, I'm tired of like, I just got bit. I'm still in high school. Let's see this. Yeah, let's do this all over again.
The high school hijink stuff is like not even original in terms of like the character. He was originally like in college, and
yeah, he was already like an adult, right? That's true. I mean, I understand why, you know, with Tom Holland, because they needed to milk him for all he was worth.
I mean, even before that, like there's plenty of shows before Tom Holland and after Tobey Maguire and all that stuff. Like even the comics, like the Ultimates storyline, Ultimate stuff or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of times where he is in high school, but originally he was like in college as
he was
adult.
A college student. Right, that's why he had access to like the actual college labs. You wouldn't be able to make that type of wrist gadget in a high school science lab. Get out of here. But it's true that is definitely played out, and I'm glad that the games had him be an older Peter Parker that already had like a relation. He had been Spider-Man for a while now. He had his relationships set and everything, and it works with Miles Morales because now he can actually be like a mentor to him. So that was pretty cool. I like also that it is okay. So you can totally make a Spider-Man game that isn't open world. Friend or Foe is one of those games. It is an action beat 'em up. But the fact that the game is so open and expansive, it literally makes you feel like Spider-Man, and that just goes to show like it's not that difficult to make a superhero game where, as long as like everything you can do is true to the superhero, and like you have like a sandbox for you to be able to play in and interact with, and the story is solid, that's all it takes. We go back to what we talked about in a previous episode. Jared wanted Rocksteady to make a Daredevil video game. It can be done. It definitely can be done. Aside from the shows obviously the movies and the one Spider, because I haven't played Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation, even though I have access to both because I game share. I haven't played either of them yet, but the only video game that I played is Friend or Foe, which was incredibly fun because it's a beat 'em up, so you have Spider-Man at his most Spidey, I guess. And you could play as other people too. You could play as every member of his rogues gallery. You can play as some superheroes, like you can play as Black. Well, she's not a superhero, but she's not really a villain either. Black Cat. You could play as Iron Fist. You could play as Harry. You could play as Venom, whatever. But Spider-Man himself, it's fun to play as him, only because of the mechanics. I'm looking forward to playing the Spider-Man game, but overall, like, I've never been super excited about a Spider-Man project. He's a fun character, but I've never been super excited about like the newest Spider-Man movie or the newest Spider-Man game or whatever, just because he's like, is he the poster child for Marvel, or is it Iron Man?
I would assume so. Like, yeah, I would assume Spider-Man is like the most popular Marvel superhero.
That's probably right. But just for me, like, I like him. I don't love him, you know?
Does he really have the other Boy Scout beat?
We're talking about Marvel. Just Marvel.
No, yeah, the other Boy Scout. When I say other Boy
Captain
Scout,
America?
yeah. So
I
there's
think
the
so.
Boy Scout to me, and then
Oh.
there's the other Boy Scout.
Well, okay, fair. I believe Spider-Man is more recognizable and more popular than worldwide. I mean, than Captain America. Even though, like, obviously, like, everybody will know who Captain America is.
I know the Shield.
They know the Shield, right? But Spider-Man is more accessible, I guess, because let's say you're living in Algeria, right, and you're watching, I don't know, you're consuming Marvel media. Why do you care about Captain two continents away? You know, like Spider-Man though, like he could be from anywhere. Obviously he's from New York, but like you could enjoy him without thinking about like, okay, well, there's like an entire continent that this dude is part of, right? It's part of his name.
Yeah, the beauty of Spider-Man is, and we hear it in the Spider-Verse movie, the first one, that anybody can be Spider-Man. It helps that his entire suit, like his entire body is covered, so like anybody can be in there, literally. He is made to be the most relatable character, period, because of all like the hijinks. Because like in comparison to Batman, after his parents got shot, after Crime Alley, he became Batman. Mm-hmm. After Ben got shot, Peter didn't become Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man isn't who he is now. He only puts on the suit because he's the only one that he knows that he can make a difference. And if nobody else does it, he will, because he has the power, right? He has a responsibility to the world, to people, to the innocents. If he was in a perfect world and he was still bit by a radioactive spider, got all those abilities, he wouldn't make a suit. He wouldn't be web slinging, you know, like he will still be normal Peter Parker. He is not Spider-Man. He is Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. Like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that in the same vein, the Homecoming movie does that really well. Like it emphasizes that point, because there's a scene where him and Tony Stark are on some ferry, and I can't remember the exact the exact reason behind their falling out, but Tony Stark like takes away his suit. I think it's because like Tony already had it handled, and Peter was like, no, like look, I got to do something or whatever. He takes away the suit, and Peter goes,
I know what line you're gonna say. It's a good line.
It is a fantastic line. You know, he says that without the suit, he's nothing, or something along that.
If you're nothing without the suit, then
you don't deserve to wear it. Yeah.
You don't deserve to wear it.
Yeah, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve to wear it. And that's true. It's not the suit that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. And later on, he literally takes that advice to heart, because Tony takes the suit away from him. And what does he do? Does he give up? No. He just puts on his old pajama and hoodie and goggles, and he goes back out there and starts fighting again. And he learns something at the end, right? He finally, like, Tony's like, oh, you can join the Avengers now. And he's like, nah, I think I'm just going to stick to, like, protecting my street, you know? Yeah. Street level, right?
And then he all hurt us with the Iron Spider suit right there, and you know, the press was right there. And
he tried, bro. He tried to reel him in, and Peter was like, nah. It's like, oh, what can I do now? Oh, I can propose. It was fun though. It was fun. It's
Me personally, I would have looked at an Iron Spider suit and be like, yes, 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 yes.
Sure.
You see this magnificent, beautiful thing? Why didn't I come up with a spider suit with legs? Like,
You know, the Avengers didn't really have a lot of people at that moment because this was right after Civil War. So it was just what, like Tony, Vision, Rhodes, and not even Rhodes, because Rhodes was like in physical therapy. His legs didn't work. So it was just Tony, Vision. Everybody else was like a criminal at this point.
Hawkeye, Black Widow.
No, Black Widow went rogue after Civil War, and Hawkeye was on Captain America's team.
Panther.
Black Panther wasn't technically an Avenger either. He went back home too. He was doing the Black Panther movie during this time. Disassembled, right? Yeah. Speaking of disassembled, I don't read a lot of comics. There was a point where I was trying to read as many Marvel comics as I could in like release order because they have events and stuff to make it, more cohesive. But I bit off more than I could chew. I tried to read everything leading up to the events and all the tie-ins and everything, and I burned out. But one of the really like easiest places to start with is Disassembled, which is the event that leads right into Civil War. Well, it leads into a couple of other things, and then afterwards it leads to Civil War. But it's it has a lot of Spider-Man in it, and then after these events, after Civil War, Spider-Man actually joins. Like the Avengers get separated. There's like the actual Avengers, which are the ones that are like they sign the Accords and they go with Tony, and then there's the ones that like completely disagreed with that. And even though they lost, because at the end of Civil War in the comics, Captain America, he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. He turns himself in. He's like, it's just not worth the fight. We're tearing New York apart. I'm giving up. And he gives in. But there are like he gets arrested and Tony Stark's people win technically, but then there's still like a lot of Avengers like Luke Cage, The Thing, Spider-Man, Daredevil, who are just like, nah, we're not going to do that though. We're going to keep being Avengers. We're not going to sign the Accords though. And even though it's illegal for us to practice being superheroes, we're still going to do that. And Peter Parker, even though for the majority of Civil War, he was on Tony Stark's side, at the end, he's like, we can't do this though. We can't just be like government agents only allowed to fight when the government tells us it's okay. So he defects and he joins the mighty Avengers, which are like the underground Avengers and stuff. And it really does speak to who he is, because I saw a lot of really great interactions between Daredevil and Punisher and The Thing and Luke Cage and all of these characters and Spider-Man. And it really got me into Spider-Man in the comics, because at this point he had gone through a lot of stuff and he was still finding a way to be quirky and quippy and stuff, straight up sarcastic. And later on there's a different event where, like, following this suit, Captain America gets shot and he dies. He doesn't really die, but everybody thinks he's dead. Wolverine is investigating this. He's like, I need to see his body. And Daredevil and Spider-Man help him, as much as they can to try to get in on that. And it's also like, it's just great to see Spider-Man interacting with people like Wolverine and Daredevil. So he's not my favorite character overall, but I like seeing him as part of the collective. I like the way he interacts with people, because it's always funny. Everybody's all gruff and serious, and then he just like pops out of the screen upside down with a little joke. Don't even get me started on Spider-Man and Deadpool. Oh my God, that's got to be like one of my favorite the duos. Period.
Yeah, Spider-Man is definitely not in my top 5. Maybe I don't even know if he's in my top 10 favorite Marvel superheroes. But Spider-Man is, because he's so relatable, because he just he is the most human out of anybody in Marvel, I guess, in the Avengers and any of the teams he's in. He just has a special place in everybody's heart, and he is the foil to a lot of other people, a lot of other heroes and villains and stuff like that. So he's important and one of the most popular comic book heroes in history for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah. Final thoughts?
The only thing that I could really talk about now is can't even make a full topic out of it. One of my favorite scenes in all of Spider-Man is Andrew catching MJ in the third movie.
Yeah.
That put me in
Andrew
tears.
catching MJ in the third movie.
In No Way Home.
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
That
Holy
scene put
shit!
me
You're right.
in the middle of the theater. Like my wife looked at me and she's like, "Are you really crying?" I was like, "How are you not?"
How are you
Like,
not?
This is like, it's not like full redemption, but like
It's
Tom
something.
almost just went through the same thing, and like even he cried once he caught MJ, because like I don't know, like you could tell that in his eyes. Andrew did a great job with his depression in that movie.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing I can really talk about is I really love that movie and everything that we hope that the whole rumor, all three Spider-Mans. Yeah, I was praying on that, and when it happened, oh my God, when I saw the portal open and a tall, lanky Spider-Man was on the other side, I was like, "Yep, that's it. I got what I wanted." There's no way Tobey Maguire's not showing up now. Like, that means the actor is being a prick, and he's going to be forced one way or another.
He was. I think Tobey Maguire was just saying no to, because like no, like you can't. You signed an NDA. You're not supposed to talk about the movie. Andrew was a lot more like, it was obvious that he was lying when he said no. But Tobey Maguire is the type of person that if you've seen paparazzis like hassle him, he just doesn't take that shit.
No,
he does not. He's very like he stands his ground. So I don't want to say he's an asshole, because I don't believe anybody who stands up to this paparazzi is an asshole. No matter how much of a dick you are in the moment, they deserve that scorn, the paparazzi. And so when he said no, I'm not in this movie. No, I'm not doing Spider-Man. With that deadpan dick face that he has, I believed it. I'm like, okay, I guess it's not happening.
And then you were pleasantly surprised.
I was. I liked that he was in it. I liked that the No Way Home, actually, it was more than just fan service.
Yeah.
My final thoughts is that this is a rare instance of fan service done right, because it adds to the story. It expands upon the characters that are introduced. They're not just there as like eye candy, and it actually it gives them satisfying conclusions. Characters that we know we're probably most likely not going to see like in another movie or iteration of their respective universes. So this was a nice little bow around that. And also it's like it's the same character. Like all three of them are the same person. Yeah. Just and from different universes. So it was fun to see them interact and stuff.
And we got the finger pointing.
Yeah, they did. They did do it at one point, like for 2 seconds. It was, I think it was in the lab, and they were like, "Hey, Peter," and they all responded, and they just all started pointing at each other to figure out which Peter was. So I was like, "You guys know what you were doing."
And then on purpose. That's an Easter egg. That's fan service. What about you, Jared? Final thoughts?
I think I already said them. Spider-Man's cool. Not my favorite, but he's cool.
Oh yeah, that's right. I like Spider Cow. Is it? No, it's Bat Cow. Is Spider Cow? Is there a Spider Cow too as well?
There might be. I know there's a
Bat Cow. I might just be thinking of Bat Cow.
There's a Spider Pig.
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does. Spider Cow is not real. Damn. There's a. Are we talking about Spider Pig from The Simpsons, or Spider Pig like
Spider Ham?
Spider Ham. Oh, that's Spider Ham.
Oh my God. There's no Spider Cow, but there's a Hell Cow.
Hell Cow?
Bessie from Earth 616. Well, the more you know. It's a vampire cow.
Huh. Okay.
That scared me. My brain broke just thinking about it. We're going to leave that topic alone.
Yep. Well, there's a Spider Cat, Earth 999. Let's leave it at that one.
All right.
His name is unrevealed, but he's feline spider.
Imagine like his name actually being unrevealed. Like, hey, little unrevealed, how you doing?
You go to Marvel database, it goes Spider Cat, current alias Spider Cat, name unrevealed. His quote is, it's like on these fandom things, there's always like a quote right after all of their gender, marital status single, good to know. And there's always like a little quote, and then and for him it's just in quotation marks MRRWR. Spider Cat.
All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of The Razzle Dazzle Show. Be sure to let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at RazDazShowPod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. Be sure to rate us 5 stars and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one. Next time on The Razzle Dazzle Show.
I mean, I think the things that in him that are similar in me, I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty loyal friend. I think that's where, same with like Sora is like, she's their friend, but she's like their mom. Chaz in Danny Phantom, like she's the ultimate big sister. Like all 3 of those characters have this loyalty and this take care of everybody sort of nurturing kind of characteristic. And I feel like I have that in me too. My animals, my kids, and my friends. And so I think that part of him, his loyalty and his best friendliness.
Tune in next week.